What's going on, ladies and gents, boys and girls, guardians of all ages? Joker back again, once again. And boy, oh boy, my old friends. It seems like this horror show will never end, meaning season of the Splicer is here. And let's just put it this way, at the time of writing this first impressions video, hashtag #NerfStasis is trending on the Twitternet. The community just found out that transmog will take 25 hours to optimally grind out one set of armor, and because everything's funnier in threes, the Vault of Glass has returned, ... missing some of the loot, has none of the Age of Triumph gear, and there are shaders that are earned through playing the Vault of Glass, unlocked in the cash shop, and are sold as a bundle with transmog tokens at a later date. So yeah, the season's off to a great start, if you like dumpster fires. But before we get into it, a word from our sponsor, one that has been really amazing to the channel, NordVPN. So you're probably wondering what I'm doing. Welp, Zavala didn't take my advice from my last ad read and upgrade the city's cybersecurity with NordVPN. So now the Vex have infected the city's infrastructure and cast it into a simulation of endless night, all while making everybody's computers utterly useless and probably stealing more than a few people's identities. How that works, I have no clue, but shenanigans. So now we have to tear holes in reality and hack the Vex back. Thankfully, they're not using NordVPN either. But ladies and gents, boys and girls, guardians of all ages, you don't have to make all of these mistakes, for you see. Not only does NordVPN protect your home security from people trying to steal your identification or other secure information, like your credit card number or cultured search history, but it also stops your internet provider from snooping on what you're doing, and it does so while on the go. So if you're sitting in your favorite coffee shop and using their Wi-Fi and ordering more cultured stuff online, you don't have to worry about people using their Wi-Fi to steal your information. Break it down for him, fact-checking Joker. All right, so NordVPN offers super fast servers in over 60 countries, no data logging, 24/7 customer support via live chat and email, double data encryption for increased anonymity, and you can connect up to 6 devices simultaneously. But wait, there's more! It works in China, and if you don't like it, they offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. And if protecting yourself wasn't enough, say you're traveling abroad and hate the TV, bam, US Netflix, just change your region. Or say you're in the US and Japanese Netflix has come out with some sweet, sweet anime, and you have to just watch it. Boom, now you're in Japan, all at the click of a button. Now I know what you're thinking. But Joker, VPNs are expensive! And normally, you'd be right. However, contrarian commenter commenting on things, if you use the code BUTJOKER, or the link in the description below, you will save 66% off 2 years of NordVPN, and they'll throw in a month for free. So don't be a goon like Zavala, protect yourself by clicking the link in the description below and using the code BUTJOKER at checkout for 66% off 2 years plus 1 month of NordVPN. With that out of the way, I really would like to thank our sponsor NordVPN in our ever-present battle to defeat the hordes of yellow YouTube $signs.
You now face godlike judgment. May it extend eternally.
So like with all of my previews, we're gonna start with the narrative of Season of the Splicer, or at least what we've been shown in the 10 minutes of narrative that we've gotten. And I'm going to try to make this as clear as humanly possible, so I don't have a million in the comments below. Actually, a million butt jokers in the comments section would kinda be cool. But I'm details. When talking about the narrative of Season of the Splicer, I will address the setup first and then go into theories and the direction that I hope it goes into and what I hope to see from the story, because we don't know anything about the story. The story just started. Now, once the story is concluded and I do my proper review of the season, you'll have an idea going into it what I was looking for. At least, that's what I hope you get out of this. Get it, got it good? It's sad that I have to point that out, but the internet is the internet. So, our story starts out with our intrepid god-killing savior of existence summoned once again to save the city.
This morning, for the first time in humanity's long and storied history, the sun did not rise. Osiris tells me it's a Vex simulation that has plunged the city into an endless night. It seems they have found a way to harness our energy against us, and even in all his wisdom, Osiris can offer no solution. I don't know what will happen if we can't break the Vex's hold over the city. I do know that we must protect our people, no matter the cost. The Vex are machines, and no one understands machines better than the Elixir. Osiris and I could only think of one we might turn to. Mithrax, Kell of House Light. My spies report he claims to be among the last sacred splicers, those with the power to commune with machines. He may be our best and only hope. Find him, Guardian, before the Vex do.
The Vex, through ludicrously circuitous means, have not only blacked out the city from the sun, but infected the city's infrastructure. Power's on the fritz, water systems are fucked. It's a bad day to be a normie in the city of dreams. But fear not, over the course of the next 1 to 3 months, once a week, our Guardian, the God Killer Extraordinaire, the hero of heroes, the legend of legends, the player character, will get it all ironed out eventually. But this time, we can't do it alone! We need help hacking the Vex network, even though Osiris knows how to enter the Vex network. I mean, he was outside the Infinite Forest when he was in the network. He was present on Io and Nessus. We could also ask a Scion. They hack the Vex network all the time. Fuck, come to think of it, our Ghost hacks the Vex network all the time as well. But plot dictates we need a super duper awesome specialist in the form of Mithrax, the last sacred splicer. And with his help, we will hack the Vex network back. Or we die! Yes? But this help comes at a price, and it is not the low cost of $9.99. For you see, the price, ladies and gents, boys and girls, guardians of all ages, is the safety of House Light, who we move into the city. Yay! What's the worst that could happen? And now we will watch with bated breath as Season of the Splicer navigates the delicacies of forcing humans and Fallen to live together after hundreds of years of war during a crisis, a choice made by dictatorial fiat from an unelected governing body who just apparently rules the city now, even though there's a consensus. Like I said, what's the worst that could happen? We'll keep an eye on Chekhov's powder keg as the season unfolds. Jokes aside, as far as the story goes, the presentation is wonderful yet again. The voice acting is great, the dialogue is well delivered, seeing characters in the environment talk to one another and bounce off one another instead of hearing it over the comms adds a significant level of just immersion to the game. Granted, I wish the player character could take part in these conversations and have dialogue options like Mass Effect, but hey, details. Narratively speaking, Season of the Splicer is shaping up to be a well-produced season. However, I do have one, slight, nitpick is not the proper word, but I think we'll go with it. As outlined in my eloquently enlightening breakdown of the season, the Fallen of House Light have been moved into the city. ... during a crisis. ... with no thought to the civilian masses of humanity that have been at war with the Fallen for 500 years and under siege by the Fallen in the city for the last 100 years. But hey, fuck you, the Vanguard said they're moving in, so they're moving in. You don't get a say in this. What's the worst that could happen? Now, don't get me wrong. Peace with the Fallen was something that narratively was always going to happen once we started collecting enemies as friends, like this was an episode of Dragon Ball Z. However, this just kind of feels rushed. 500 years of war and what both sides have done to one another, and that's just kind of pushed to the side, overlooked because plot? It's too convenient, too clean, and already kind of preachy. That said, my thought, my hope, my want, my conceit, whatever, use whatever word you want, is that narratively speaking, the story that Bungie actually wants to tell is the story of how this all inevitably blows up in everybody's face. Because that's what would actually happen, and the plot will be building that tension between both sides, until Chekhov's powder keg inevitably explodes, all while exploring the toll war inevitably takes on the survivors. And in order to get that plot started, to tell that story in the confines of a season, Bungie basically just fast-tracked everything, which is understandable. But also when dealing with heavy subject matter, and trying to convey that through a work of fiction, I don't think fast-tracked should be a word utilized in the description of the details. However, if the story plays out and yeah, there's some minor grumbling, hell, maybe there's even a slight incident, But in the end, everybody's BFFs for life and the city is saved through the power of friendship and love. That'll be an utterly unsatisfying narrative. If I might segue off into a tangent for a moment, and of course I can, it's my channel and my video, the end of Halo 3.
I remember how this war started, what your kind did to mine. I can't forgive you, but you have my thanks for standing by him to the end. Hard to believe he's dead.
Were it so easy.
And Halo lore in general has done a fantastic job of illustrating the aftermath of one civilization invading another, trying to annihilate it in the name of their god, then have a faction break off, join their once enemy in order to defeat a larger threat. Also because they were lied to and betrayed, but you get my point. This journey for the Sangheili, the elites in Halo, was one of the focal points of Halo 2 and 3, and has been a conflict explored for the better part of 15 years in other games and lore. And when I say games, I don't mean that it was brought up every now and then as a throwaway line like House Light has been. This conflict is part of Halo's DNA. And when I say lore, I don't mean a few blurbs buried in a codex somewhere. I mean novels, short stories, because there's a lot to unpack there. And the Human Covenant War was a war that took place over 28 years, not centuries. I don't need to tell anyone that war is complex, and so is its aftermath. And the exploration of that deserves to be treated with respect, not a throwaway plot of a DLC that lasts for a couple of weeks. Because the actual threat was the Vex or Savathun or Quora Blade Transform the entire time! And for the record, I'm not saying that Season of the Splicer's story is going to be bad, not at all. I'm saying that Bungie has taken an extremely complex concept for their narrative, and they're attempting to tell a complex story in a very small window, narratively speaking. And I really hope they stick the landing, because who doesn't want good storytelling in Destiny? The convoluted complexities of narrative navigation aside, moving forward to gameplay. So it's, Gambit meets the Infinite Forest with a Tron skin.
Ooh, do the thing. Seriously, watch this. I am Nostradamus, the voice of God.
As for loot, not a lot of it is really my thing, but I'm kind of in that camp. I find a couple of weapons that I like and I stick to it until something new comes along that I'm like, ooh, I'll give that a shot. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I come from Halo. I used a battle rifle for like 10 years. The one thing that did annoy me about loot is we got 2 new fusion rifles and both of them are like, meh, if not outright bad. And that's kind of an unfortunate side effect of basically a lot of the lower impact fusion rifles are okay in PvE, but when it comes to PvP, it's a shotgun with a charge time. Hence why you need something like Aerentel FR4, or Glacioclasm, or something that's just simply different but called a fusion rifle like Bastion, or Jotun, or Telesto. However, none of that matters if you can't tolerate the Crucible at this point, which segues nicely into our next topic. So I stated at the top of the video, at the time of writing the script for this video, which with video recording, editing, and then the 3 days it takes for the NordVPN guys to okay the ad read, it'll be somewhere in the future eventually, when this video comes out. But at the time of recording this video, the hashtag #NerfStasis has taken the Twitternet by storm, with prominent content creators chiming in on the current state of Destiny PvP. Now, I've said it before and I will say it again, Destiny PvP has never been the most competitive thing in the world. And like I said in my Destiny is trash and so am I video, Destiny is like the junk food of gaming. And I absolutely still believe that. All of that said, Stasis as a kit is monstrously oppressive in PvP. Not only because the abilities and the supers are strong against player characters, but because the way it disrupts, slows, and pauses the flow of gameplay. Get tagged by a stasis ability? Well, if you're not outright frozen, you're slowed. Your ability to aim is disrupted. It's aggravating to play against. I get it, everybody wants to play Destiny for the power fantasy. But if your power fantasy takes away other people's ability to play the game, no. Stasis, in its own way, is quite possibly one of the worst things to happen to Destiny PvP. Not because it's necessarily strong or overpowered, I mean, it is, but not in the traditional one-eyed mask or Shards of Galanor way, but because it allows one player to take control away from another player. The ability to pause the game for another player, even when you're not frozen, just slowed, where you might as well be frozen because until the effect wears off, you're not really allowed to play the game, is frustrating. You might want to use it, but people don't want to play against it. It's almost like a Titan in Red kind of called this when it was first announced. But hey, details.
Oh, do the thing. Seriously, watch this. I am Nostradamus, the voice of God.
Now as we move on, originally I was going to talk about the Vault of Glass here, but I'm also going to do a video about the raid when the raid releases, so that would be kind of redundant. So I'm going to go ahead and move right on to the cash shop and transmog. As many of you know, I've largely given up on the cash shop. The Destiny community did that to the Destiny community. By and large, it's its own beast now. That said, I still think pointing out bullshit when bullshittery is at hand is necessary. Enter Exhibit A. Beginning in Season 12, we will no longer be selling ships, ghost shells, sparrows, or armor ornaments in Eververse that are visually based on the theme of aspirational activities. Now, while I understand that emotes and shaders don't technically fall under the purview of ships, ghost shells, sparrows, and armor ornaments, Bungie knows exactly what they did with that Catch-22 bullshit. So for those of you not in the know or missed the beginning of this video, there are shaders that you unlock for beating the Vault of Glass that will be available through the cash shop. These shaders will be part of a bundle that includes transmog tokens. On top of that, there's a Vault of Glass Throne emote that comes as part of a silver bundle. And while I'm not necessarily upset about these things being in the cash shop, putting them in the cash shop kinda sorta goes against the spirit of not putting seasonal cosmetics in the cash shop. I get it, money machine goes brr, and people will buy it regardless, but fucking A, man, is nothing sacred? No, it's not. Speaking of disappointments, I know, another brilliant segue by yours truly. On top of all of that cash shop kerfluffling, people did the math, and it turns out the collection of synth strands is far more annoying than anyone could have thought. See, I made the mistake of giving Bungie a modicum of credit. I thought the grind for strands would just be your annoying go kill 150 enemies, and then do a bounty of unexplained length, which probably was grindy as fuck. Turns out, I was wrong. It was far worse. It was unimaginably worse. Unconceivably worse, some might even say. Somehow, someway, through some Herculean leap in logic that us mere mortals will never be able to comprehend, Bungie managed to out-Bungie Bungie. Bungie literally wrote a new definition for what it means to go full Bungie. So not only do you have to get 150 strands just so you could buy the bounty, but the strands are time-gated. So you will only get one strand every 2-ish minutes? If you want to farm armor in the most efficient way possible, it apparently takes like 25 hours. That's just, I want to be mad, but like, that's impressive. But again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. As long as people keep spending money in the cash shop, it will continue to be an ever-encroaching cancer that infects Destiny. Anyways, this video has gone on and on and on, and it's time to move on. Season the Splicer shows potential, but is troubled by its main gameplay mode just being another iteration of GAMBIT, and/or the Infinite Forest with a Tron skin, adding nothing new to the gameplay experience and treading old ground we've already done 1,000 times. The cash shop and stasis continue to be a point of contention for the Destiny community, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon, no matter how many times Bungie says we're listening. We've yet to play Vault of Glass, and I'm looking forward to it, even though it is disappointing that not all of the loot is returning. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Remember to like, but only if you did. Subscribe for more. Feel free to donate to my Patreon if you're feeling particularly generous. But above all else, stay frosty.